really is nice to be here. The thing that happens, you do a show, it's been off the air 31 years, and you do a show, and you want a big ratings, which we never got, but people have no identity, just numbers. And then you go out on a tour like this, and people say to me, I watched you, I grew up with you. I sat on the couch with my mother and my father, and we laughed at you, and that's what I remember. So I've touched people's lives. After we went on syndication, there was a half hour that went on in America that wasn't seen. But we were always canceled every year. The only reason they didn't follow through with the cancels, because we were cheap. and ABC was the third network, so they couldn't buy us, they had nothing to replace us with. So we did it, and we used to get laughs. I replaced Walter Matthau on Broadway, and Walter Matthau was one I was pretty good. But, so I got the same laughs from the studio audience that I got on Broadway. So I knew it had to be a hit. They just couldn't find us. But Paramount thought we were a flop. So they gave me 10% of the show. They gave Tony 20% of the show. Sent my kids from college on that 10%. My favorite icon was Password.
Whose idea was it to go live from after the first season?
It was Tony and mine because we were flopping, and we knew we were from the theater, and we were used to a live audience, and to do it with one camera was dead, and we said, we don't want to do it anymore this way.
Do you still in contact with any of the old odd couples, whether it's Murray the Cop or any of them?
No, I really don't see much. Tony was the only one. I see Gary Marshall a lot. And Gary Wahlberg, who played Speed, because he was an old friend of mine.
You played a sports writer, and I heard you like the horses. Were you a big sports fan?
When I bet on him. I bet on baseball. I was a baseball aficionado. And then I went into football. That's a terrible game to bet on. Because if you give a spread of 6 points, that team is happy to win by 3 points. And you say, no, you gotta win by 1 spread. And I used to throw things at the television set. But now it's horses. I only bet horses. I had a horse that was third in the Kentucky Derby that I own. And that's the biggest thrill in the world.
Did Tony really have a lack of sports knowledge that he...
No, he knew more about sports than I did. See, whenever I had to teach him, say, football, or he taught me manners, it would be Jack. Jack teaches Tony football, and then it would be 4 blank pages. And we would improvise, and he taught me how to improvise, because people usually talk, but he said, no, provoke. So I'd say, okay, let's get down to a point. Well, he knew he had to be opposite me, but he can't hear. I said, we're not the Rockettes. And then he would put his face in my neck. I said, I want to dance with you. So he would provoke me into saying funny things. And we never cared who got the laughs, as long as the scene worked. And that's why I got goosebumps as I said that. Okay.
You mentioned you didn't care who got the laughs. I had heard Tony Randall was really hard to break up, and the one time that he did was when Murray put his nose through the peephole. Is that true?
Yeah, no, but he broke up. He broke up when he went up. See, I couldn't break him. I couldn't make him laugh. But if he went up, he would say that. He would laugh and break up because he couldn't remember the line. But I broke up all the time. I was terrible. I was like Jello. When Tony passed away, I went into a depression. And I thought, well, it's natural and it would go away, but it didn't go away. I was depressed. I was angry. I was very, very grief-stricken, and I didn't understand why. I mean, friends of mine I thought had died before. But something about Tony, and then I realized I had never told him how much he meant to me, how important our friendship was, because I didn't realize how important it was until he had passed away. How much it had stabilized my relationship with my children, how much it had taught me about being honest in life. It made me unafraid to be vulnerable. Because when I was vulnerable with him, when I did that stage version of The Odd Couple, we did one performance, I had no voice at all, very, very weak. And he was there supporting me, saying, oh, you sound wonderful, they love you, you'll have a microphone. So that no matter how vulnerable I was with him, he was always supportive. So I was able to carry that vulnerability outside. I never did before when I was growing up. I never let my kids in my life. I never let my brothers in my life. I was protective because I had been hurt a number of times. And he taught me to be vulnerable was not a bad thing, even if you got hurt. It was better to be vulnerable if you wanted a good relationship, which is what I have with my kids. And we have an honest, I love my kids unconditionally. I could never say that before Tony. Unconditionally. I mean, I always had conditions. Now, they may have conditions with me. I have none with them. And most of the people. And I'm going to die with no skeletons in my closet. I tell the truth. Truth will set me free. And I believe that. And I didn't always believe it, but I believe it now. And I'm a happy man. I get more enjoyment out of one day than I used to get out of a year. And that's because of Tony. So much of it is because of Tony. If you're in the middle of a friendship, value it. Know that it's rare that two people, because it's based on trust. I trusted Tony. And in trusting him, he taught me to trust other people. My life is so much richer because I trust people. Trust. Take a chance. Value friendship. Value it very, very much. Don't. And your children, your family. You're only here once. Make the most of it.